What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Leveled Up Life podcast. Branamier, Courtney here, as always, with Paul McLain.
My man.
Helping people level up their life in all the areas that matter the most. And so before we jump into the topic today, turn it up, share it with somebody. Leave a comment, as always. If this is giving you value in any way, you know, I looked on our website, and there's like a lot of episodes now. I think this is like episode 61, 62, something like that.
It's up there, man.
We've been putting in some time, bro.
Yeah.
I hope people are getting value out of this. I know I am. Anytime I get a chance to sit down with you and just kind of pick your brain and go back and forth, man, I always leave here going, man, I need to level up my life in all these different areas. And that's the goal, right? To get around, you know, like-minded people that can stretch us, that can pour in some things into us and help us become the version that we know God's called us to be. And so today's no different.
I agree, man. Well, hey, it's always good to be here with you, brother. And I think that, as the scripture says, iron sharpens iron. Yep. I mean, it's so important to get some iron in your life. And I feel like, for me, every time I get here with you, I feel like I leave sharper. And I hope you guys do as well, because our goal every single week is to provide you some significant value to leave you better than you came, right? And that's the goal, is for you to leave with some understanding of what to do, how to do it at a higher level. And so today, guys, we're going to jump back into what we spoke about last week, the 8 lessons of a leader. And these lessons come from like failures, like setbacks, like struggles, like times where I messed up. And as I'm going through this and you brought this topic to me, like, man, I really feel like we should talk about some of our mistakes and setbacks and struggles that we've had. And I started thinking, I was like, man, I couldn't stop thinking. I had so many once you start thinking about it. Sure. But I also realized that a lot of these lessons, if I go back and I pinpoint some breakthrough moments in my business where it really just, you know, grew substantially, right? Where it was kind of like okay growth, but then you look back and I think every area of your life, you've got maybe a moment or a time or a season where you're like, dude, I grew leaps and bounds in that moment. And that could be with your faith, right? It could be in your marriage where you're like, man, those 3 months, we grew so much together. Or it could be with your finances, man. In those couple months, like, we just really kind of made the right moves, did the right choices, and all of a sudden we had great growth. And so I think that's anybody can go back and find some of these pivotal moments. To me, a lot of these breakthrough moments are found in these 8 lessons. So as we went through them, my man, this is so good. And by the way, quick plug. We've got the Leadership Roundtable event that's coming up on June 5th. And this is really to submerge you for a whole day, where the reality is, you know, when you're submerged and you hear the high-level thought process in different ways and perspectives and put on a different lens for a period of time, it puts you in a position where you're more likely to make some big decisions, pivotal decisions that lead to these pivotal breakthroughs in your life. And so the Leadership Roundtable, guys, register today. We only have so many spots available, and the reality is it will fill up because we can't just add square footage to a building that's fixated. So it is what it is, right? You know, you can say, can we lap it? You know, it's not that kind of event, all right? You gotta buy the seat you got, and it will fill up. And so
we don't just say that just to say that. Like, the truth is, every time we throw an event, man, it sells out, it fills up. And so do it now, make the decision, June 5th, put in your calendars. It's a Thursday, 9 o'clock to 3 o'clock, man. If you want to get around people who are like-minded, who are growing in every area of the life, register now. And also, real quick before we jump into point number 3, this is also brought to you by Parker's Praise Run.
Yes.
Come on, I'm excited for that. If you're a runner, if you're not a runner, it doesn't really matter. Come on out on June 7th, 7 a.m.
Yep.
Come on, it's going to be a kids mile, a 3K, a 5K, a 10K, all going to a great cause. Parker's Hope Program, which is to help kids that are going through cancer, to help them get certain health modalities that Parker went through, whether it's the hyperbaric red light, hydrogen molecular water, all the different things that God used to heal Parker. We want to be able to raise funds to help kids going through a similar struggle. And so if that's you, if you want to run, if you want to support, you can also go on godshouseh.com/events. You can sign up on there, and it will take you to the website. If not, go on to aleveluplife.io. And I think it's under events. It should be there. But Parker's Praise Run is going to be a good thing. We're going to get a lot of people out there.
Well, hey, one thing real quick about that too, man. I was just talking to Micah's dad last week. He was leaving the center. And Micah's a little boy that's 11 years old. And he got diagnosed with leukemia when he was 2 years old. Jeez. And so the way leukemia works is you have like 3 years of chemotherapy, right? So from 2 to 5, he went through chemotherapy. And a lot of that treatment is done in the hospital. So it's kind of like you only have one parent. It's a very difficult thing, not just physically, but emotionally, all these different things that go into it as a family. And so he went back into remission, and after like a year or two of remission, it came back. And so he went back through, had leukemia again from like, I think 7 to 10, another 3 years. So 11-year-old, of his 11 years, 6 years, he's gone through chemotherapy. And so his parents, as most parents do, they're researching and looking at what can we do to make sure like Micah's body is going to be primed and healthy and whole and really kind of repel and keep this disease away. And so they find out about these different health modalities like hyperbaric and red light. And in fact, he's been on Dateline and all kinds of big news, little guy Micah. And so they find Tosh on Instagram. They see about the Parker Hope program, and they reach out, and because it's expensive. It's thousands of dollars a week to use these modalities, 3-4 times a week. And so they live in Upland, but they've been making a drive down 3 times to 4 times a week, every week now for over a month and a half to use the modalities for free. And that's our heart, is to continue to allow more and more of that to happen. I love to be able to promote that to hospitals and Chalk, and just say, hey, listen, if you've got a child that, the parents want to look at these health modalities, they can use them for free, right? And so that's the heart and the desire behind it all.
I love it. I love your heart. I love how God's, taken Parker's story and everything that you guys gone through, and we can see, him working it all together for good. And it's just exciting to be a part of. And so, like I said, register for that June 7th, mark your calendars. But let's jump into today's lesson. Here's one that I know hits home for me. I'm certain for you too. It's know your numbers. Every entrepreneur has to know their numbers. I don't know if I don't really watch it anymore, but like Shark Tank. Yeah. I watch Shark Tank a lot, like especially back in the day when it was super popular. Like, dude, the entrepreneurs would get killed because they would pitch a product and they would have, a good product. And then someone on the panel would go, tell me about your numbers. Yeah. And they would begin to fumble over their numbers and not be really sure, because the truth is like the passion will start the business, but your profit will sustain the business. Good. And so if you don't have passion, if you don't have like your numbers figured out, like eventually the business is going to fail. It's going to die. It's the lifeblood to the business. I know when I started, like my janitorial business, I mean, as a solopreneur, like it's just you. And so what happens a lot of times, this happened for me, is you begin to blend everything, right? So it's like you got your business checking account and you got your personal checking account, but like, hey, sometimes it all kind of gets blended up in there. Yeah. And for me, like I went through a season where I didn't know my numbers, and I was, on paper, it looked like I was making money, but then at the end of the month, I'd be like, where'd all the money go? Yeah. Because it's all blended into family and business and expenses and just everything else. And so it's a lesson that I've had to learn the hard way, is to not ignore like the bank account. Because sometimes you just see the money coming in and it feels real good, but it's like, hey, if you're not checking what's going out and balancing that and learning like your margin. And another thing for me is I would bid jobs and I wouldn't even know my margins. And so I would bid it just based on a feeling, based on what I thought, based on, I think I could do this in 1 hour or whatever. And there was no concrete system or structure on how to bid certain jobs. And maybe that's true for some entrepreneurs out there. They're just kind of winging it. Like, hey, this candle's $9 and this one's $11. Why? Well, I don't know. That's what so-and-so said. Yep. Well, it's like, you got to know the numbers for you. Maybe they're sourcing something from a different place. Maybe, they have less costs here rather than there. And so I think just as an entrepreneur, especially starting out, like this is one of the most pivotal things that you got to understand as a business owner, is to know where your money's going. Set a financial rhythm. So like for me, we have an accountant, and so there's weekly check-ins with the accountant and what's coming in and what's going out and why is certain money going in and going out. So I don't know. I think everyone has to find a certain rhythm that works for them, whether it's just a simple basic accounting app like QuickBooks or hiring a full-blown accountant. But you got to know your numbers. I
agree, dude. I think this one quote I heard a long time ago, and man, we really embodied this, and this became a part of the DNA of all the companies I've ran, which was like, you cannot expect what you don't inspect. Yep. And so if you're not inspecting your numbers, why would you expect growth? Like, you're just kind of shooting in the dark, right? You gotta inspect those numbers. And the thing I love about numbers is they're not emotional. They don't lie. You can't beat the numbers, and the numbers can't beat you. So it takes all the emotion out of it. What's the emotion? A lot of times the emotion is fear of taking that next risk or the next step of risk. That's really the step that's going to allow you to go through that next breakthrough. But you're fearful because you're kind of like, what if it fails? Well, if you look at the numbers, you actually can set it up where you can't fail. Yeah. I mean, I talked to people that I would recruit into sales and building their business, and I'd recruit agency managers, and a lot of times I get somebody say, well, I kind of just like that steady paycheck. And what I'd always tell them is like, I think a paycheck from an employer is less steady than a paycheck from a self-employed individual that knows their numbers, because the employer can just decide not to pay you. Like, hey, you're fired. like that ain't steady, right? Like that was steady for a minute, but it ain't no more. But if you're self-employed, you'll know your numbers. Like, hey, if if I have 50 families I have an interaction with about the service I'm providing, right? And of those 50 families, 30 are interested. And of the 30 that are interested, 15 make a buying decision. And of the 15 that make the buying decision, 10 stay on and they don't cancel. And those 10 are going to lead to $3,000 in income. Well, if you want to make $3,000 a week, guess what? You need to talk to 50 people. Yeah. And so I believe that allows you to reverse engineer really anything, right? Even savings. If you know, like, hey, this is my net after all my expenses. Well, now you can predict stuff. But like you said, when you're moving from a feeling, it's so difficult. And then it becomes frustrating. It becomes debilitating because you're like, I don't even know if I can achieve this, or is it going to work? Is it not going to work? I'm kind of frozen. Do I move? Do I not move? But knowing your numbers, I think, is so crucial, because now you can start to predict what you want to make. And so for me, I love that, because I knew that if I wanted to go out and triple my income, I knew exactly what it would take. It wasn't like a hope and a prayer. It was like, all right, if I want to triple my income, I need 3 times the amount of families to call. I knew that every 10 families led to 5 people answering, 5 people answering led to 3 booked appointments, 3 booked appointments led to 2 showing up, 2 showing up led to 1 sale. So then I just was able to do the numbers, right? And so I think for anybody on here, if you're running a business and you're like, I've not done that before, I promise you look back and say, that's when the breakthrough took place, is just really looking at your numbers, because every business is the same with numbers. I don't care if you're selling life insurance, real estate, if you're selling product at a retail store, it's all the exact same. Chick-fil-A knows that X amount of people go through the drive-thru, they're going to buy X amount of spicy chicken sandwiches versus this. That's how they know how to order stuff. It's not like, hopefully today it happens. No, they know exactly what's going to take place, because numbers don't lie. And so I think it's very important to reverse engineer your stuff. And last point I put to this, bro, is like, I remember this one agent, and he called me. And it's just funny how if you don't know your numbers, it's easier to buy a lie that's not true. Yeah. Like, he called me, and dude, he was so frustrated and just almost like disappointed. He's like, man, I increased the amount of leads that I had for the week, and I had a bad week. I had a terrible week. And I was like, well, what are your numbers? And so we started to go through the numbers, and what it boiled down to was he made 100 less phone calls than he normally made all the other prior weeks. And dude, it was to an actual penny, dude. It was so nuts how it worked out. But it was like, dude, every dial you make equals $3.27. Yeah, that's good. And you made 100 less phone calls, and that led to X amount of production being gone. And once I revealed that to him, dude, all of a sudden, dude, it was like the energy and the hope was restored. He's like, well, shoot, man. Yeah. All right, dude, I'm good. And because he wanted some sales training, he wanted me to help him with objection handling, and he wanted help with all these systematic things that were just really the fruit. But the root was the numbers. You just didn't hit your numbers.
I love it. You know? I mean, there's so much wisdom in that. As you're speaking, I'm thinking about the church and even a nonprofit, right? There's certain numbers that you could look at, and you could forecast your future or see why things are working and not working. We just came off of our biggest Easter event ever, like almost 3,000 people. And I know there's the numbers won't be that every single weekend. Yeah. And so we don't run around screaming like, oh my God, we more than tripled. Yeah. Right? It's like, no, there's a certain percentage that will come back, but you have to know, so you have a proper expectation of how to move forward. And I think even when you look at the life of Jesus, like, he didn't recruit 3 disciples or 5 or 7. It was a specific number. It was 12, right? So, and even when one betrayed him, he got one more. Like, there's a rhythm to it. There's a thought behind it. There's a method to the madness, right? So the 12 served the 72, then the 120, then the 3,000, but it was all structured in place. So it's like exactly what you said, like, you got to reverse engineer wherever you're at to get unemotional about the numbers, because it's easy to do it one way or the other. Like, you get a large commission check, you're like, this is amazing. Yeah. And then you blow it all on one thing, and you forgot to duplicate the process that got you there, because you thought, this not that this 50,000 that you got or whatever was going to be the thing that propels you, but you didn't. You allocated it in the wrong ways, right? And so I don't know.
I got to say something, because what you just said was so good. I want nobody to miss it. Like, that's the reason why most things just don't last, right? Is because if you're so focused on the result, right? Like, when you had a big commission and you stop focusing on what got you there, which was just simply the numbers. Now you're on this roller coaster, right? And what happens is when you're so focused on that, then you start to compromise.
Yeah.
And that's where the enemy works, is within
100%.
compromise. So now you make a little less phone calls. You normally leave at 8 o'clock. You leave at 7, so you make 30 less dials. Same thing with marriage, dude. Like, I mean, how many times is like marriage is going great? You're like, oh my God, this is so great. And well, it's because you started being more intentional.
Yeah.
You're listening, right? You're going out of your way to make sure that you're, doing acts of service. You're leaving some
How many
notes,
date nights did we go on?
Exactly.
How many phone calls did you check in?
And
How many?
it's going good now, so I'm going to skip on my Wednesday night date night. Well, bro, like, dude, you just compromise, and then in 2-3 weeks, you're looking back like, man, why is my relationship not where it should be? Well, what you're looking at today is really just a reflection of what you sowed 90 days ago. And so if you're so hyper-focused on the results you see today, you're missing the fact that it's what you sowed 90 days ago. So don't miss the sowing today, because you won't see the results until 90 days from now. So you're always living in a result that actually took place from an activity that was prior to it happening. And so I think that's where the numbers really keep you safeguarded from imploding, getting too high, and also getting too low.
I love it, man. That's pure wisdom. And you, like you said, you could apply that to any area of your life,
Gym,
whether it's
anything.
sports, whether it's the church, the business world, marriage, kids. Like it's all the same. You got to know your numbers, track it, or you'll lose them. You'll lose whatever you're trying to build. Here's the fourth point that we're talking about. Lessons that every leader needs to know is protect your time like it's money. I know this is one that.
Time is money.
Time is money, baby. This is something that, you don't get right all the time, at least for me in my walk. Like, I've had to learn to protect my time over time, if that makes sense. Yeah. And so, in any journey, especially a startup, all your time, like a lot more time is required on liftoff, right? They say like if you're going to get a rocket into space, like 90% of the fuel is spent or burned at liftoff. And the same is true for any organization. So your time has to be spent in there. But as you're growing, as you're moving, as like you got some systems in place now, you got to learn how to protect your time, because if not, you'll be doing activities that you shouldn't be in anymore because your time is much more valuable, or your skills are better used somewhere else. And before you know it, you'll be wasting a bunch of time wondering why the rocket's steering the wrong way, is because you were supposed to be in a different area, leading from a different vantage point. And this is a boundary that people got to learn. Like, they got to figure out the rhythm of their life. And I know we've talked about this a lot as far as like schedule goes and protecting time. For me, man, I need a certain amount of hours to study. I need a certain amount of hours to prepare. I got a book report that I got to write every single week. Sundays come around, 7 days, every 7 days. And so it's like, as soon as one's done, it's like, I got to start thinking and preparing for the next. And if I don't, I know me well enough by now, like I'll procrastinate until Saturday afternoon. Like, I can get it done. And then I'll stress everyone out, including myself, trying to figure out how to do it. And I've done that, so I know not to do it. So now it's like, hey, Tuesdays, a certain amount of time, Wednesdays, a certain amount of time, like Thursdays, a certain amount of time. My business has allocated a certain amount of time, family, a certain amount of time. And so I just try to protect my time like it's money, because it's currency. It's the most important thing we got. It's the only thing that doesn't matter how much money you have. You can't buy any time back. It's just like you're laying on your deathbed. You don't want money. You want more time. Yeah. Time with your family, time with your loved ones. And so you got to protect it.
Do I think this is one of those things that, like, attention is so easily lost nowadays, right? And so, like, I believe people have good intentions, but then if their attention gets robbed, their good intentions go out, the window. And so it's like, first of all, we've done podcasts specifically on this, and I think this is one that really probably warrants another full episode podcast to kind of go through, because I feel like it's just something that I know I struggle with. I think most people struggle with, and more now than ever before is being able to really kind of guard and safeguard your time, right? Because at the end of the day, it's like, okay, how do I take the time I've already got and make better use of it? And then also, how can I, eliminate, delegate, and automate some of the things that maybe I shouldn't be spending time on, but I've not really paused and taken an account or a self-audit to realize that, hey, I probably shouldn't be holding on to this. I probably shouldn't be handling this. And I find myself like that all the time, dude, where especially with the different businesses and things that we start and put in place, like I'll all of a sudden look back and be like, oh, shoot, man, why am I handling something like that, where I can delegate that to somebody that's actually more skilled for that position anyways.
100%.
Like, I'm not very good at being orderly and organized and structured and making those kind of phone calls, but why am I finding myself doing it? It's because I haven't paused and reflected. But now if I let that go, somebody that's really gifted at that, like they've got a personality of like high S and high, C, like that's their deal. That's not my deal. Mine's like high I. Like I'm inspirational, influential. I want to be doing things and helping people and sewing into people and talking to people and creating things like that. But if I'm not aware, I'll lose it, right? And so I think it's so important to understand that. The analogy I'll give you guys is this. So I remember when I was running appointments and building a business, I wanted to go out there and be a top producer, but I also wanted to build a business because I didn't want to be a top producer when I was 94, right? I don't think anybody that's selling something right now, whether that's real estate, insurance, or whatever, like you got to ask yourself, if you're 93, do you still want to be doing that?
Yeah.
Well, and if you are, I think that it's really a reflection that you didn't really sow enough into somebody else to help show them the way forward, because that's where a business comes. Is I've got enough people that are doing what I used to do and I've been successful at. And so, I would always think like, okay, how can I make money while making money, right? So I know for me, like the thing I want to do, Brand, is I want to spend time with my family, friends. I love spending time with you. And like I want to be spending time in that way, getting better, growing, sewing into the people I care about. Like that's what I want to be doing. I don't want to be necessarily, clocking out or working or going out and driving to go sell a policy or stuff like that. I wanted to spend my time with my family. So I would always ask myself, if I'm not with my family, how am I maximizing every moment and every minute in this hour? And so when I drive to, like, say, Bakersfield, I started to have a driver, not because I didn't want to drive and I wanted to take a nap, but they would drive, and while they were driving, I was dialing and booking appointments. So now I'm not just saying how to book appointments, I'm exemplifying how to book appointments, which is going to help them significantly more. So now they're listening to me book appointments, and then they also will hear me make recruiting calls. So I'm also teaching them how to recruit and the importance of recruiting. Yep. They also hear me work with different agents that are in the same kind of boat as they are, the same season. So they're getting trained as I'm training somebody as well, which is sometimes the best training because I'm not so direct, it's almost indirect. So they're kind of thinking like that makes sense to me as well. And then when I'm driving, sitting with these clients, they're seeing real scenarios and situations. And then when I'm driving back late at night, we're listening to a podcast and I'm talking them through, hey man, did you see how that made sense? Did you see what that looked like? I'm doing role plays. So like what I realized is like in that same day, I could get 5 times more done than if I was driving. I can't dial book appointments. I'm not effective recruiting. So I'm able to do those things at a higher level, and I don't have somebody I'm teaching, training, and helping them develop as well. So that's just an example of like the time you've got, can you do something more with it?
Yeah.
Can you maximize it a little bit more?
Well, so we live in the information age, and so now as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, like you have to figure out how to duplicate your time is what you're talking about. Because when you were driving to Bakersfield, there was no Instagram.
Right.
Dates us a little bit, right? Or there was YouTube, but it wasn't like a
MySpace.
There was like MySpace, the top 10 or whatever it was. But now it's like, hey, turn a camera on yourself, because now we're not only having a conversation with ourselves, you're not only training one agent or one, rep. Now, you're training the thousands that watch online. And so now the 1 hour spent here intentionally pouring into this specific person now gets viewed. I was just pulling up our church's account. Like the last 28 days, there's been 414,000 views on like certain, great. It's insane. But it's like, I didn't spend 414,000 hours or whatever it was with all these people. I filmed something one time, and then that's how many people, that's the time spent watching, which is insane. And so now there's all these different people, whatever the number is, having eyes on one conversation that I had at one time. Yeah. And so all those people feel like I spent time with them. Like right now, we're not hanging out with these people live, but as we're talking, they're actually like, we're building rapport. We're getting to know each other. It's like why celebrity culture gets, blown out of proportion, because people watch films or watch their life and they feel like they know them, and they create an idol out of people. I'm not saying don't do that, but what I am saying as an entrepreneur, like you got to learn how to leverage your time to pour into people or to promote your business or to like duplicate yourself, because the truth is if you're not, being intentional with your time, like you'll lose your time. And like you just talked about, you can be doing a high level activity, but it made only a singular impact when it could have made a massive impact. I don't know about you, but I want to not do as less work as possible to get the most result. I want to do the most work possible and get the most result. And so I want to be all in both areas, right? It's not work less and take advantage of social media. It's like, no, let's go all in on everything, and then also get the benefit of the reach that we can get. And so I don't know. I hope that helps people.
Well, dude, real quick to that too, because I think it's important. That something that I put in place probably about I don't know, maybe 6 months ago, maybe a year ago, was a playbook. And I think this is helpful for everybody. This could be even for your family. It could be in your business. So anytime I'm going to say something more than once, I'm going to record it and stick it into a playbook. And so now I've got playbooks for like everything, even high desert venues, which I don't really touch a whole lot, but there's a playbook. And so like if all of a sudden Stephanie got sick, man, they can come in and they know exactly how to run every little thing. It's all dialed in. We got a playbook for the podcast room. So if somebody's sick, they can come in and know exactly how to run the studio.
Yep.
We got a playbook for the investment side, the real estate side. If we're going to need to teach an agent XYZ, like we'll give them the playbook first, and that's going to give them the whole roadmap
Smart.
to it. And it just kind of helps you buy your time back. So now I'm not having to have the same conversation again. Even like when it comes to recruiting, we'll have an overview. Why? Because like I don't want to think about me having 100 recruiting calls a week. That could be my whole week just right there. Right? I got less time with my family now because I still got to do something else that makes active income. But if I could just send out 100 invitations and get them on one recruiting overview, well, now that one overview has got it all dialed in, right? And then there's a playbook as far as what does a follow-up look like. So now I've got other agents that could also send them to the same thing,
Yep.
and they know what this is the script. This is how I follow up. This is my next steps. And so I just feel like if you got to ask yourself, if I'm having this conversation multiple times with different people, is there a way where you could just put a camera on you? Like you said, Brian, I thought that was perfect, man. Like where now you can just say, hey, watch this video. And now that just lifted an hour off your schedule. Man, what's an hour of your time? That's a big deal. And sometimes it's an hour that becomes draining because it's monotonous. It's like, man, I've already had this conversation. And the last thing I'd say about time and buying it back is realize like what you said, Brian, was so good. It's not just money. It's also emotion and energy.
Yeah.
And so there's certain things in your schedule that maybe they bring a high monetary value to it, but the emotion and the energy that's tied to it as well is so costly that something that maybe makes you a little less money but costs you way less energy and emotion is actually a proper trade-off as far as delegating or automating or just taking off your plate, because there's certain things that I know you do and that I do where when I'm done doing it, it's not an energy raiser, it's an energy depleter, right? Like I feel less
100%.
energy. And bro, that's everything, man. Because I got to have enough to give my kids when I get home, my wife, like other people. I can't just get zapped. And so if you're doing something on here, and maybe this is a point where you kind of reflect, think back and say, hey, what am I doing in my schedule throughout my day? Do a day audit like you've said before, and what in my day is zapping my energy? And then the next question is, what can I do about that?
Yeah.
How can I handle that better? How can I automate that? How can I delegate it? What can I do to protect my energy? Is there something I can do to prime myself to get out? Like, what can you do to make sure it doesn't zap your energy? Because that's a big, big deal.
I think, you said a whole lot of wisdom there, and this is the stuff that we're going to be talking about at the Leveled Up Life Roundtable, like how to create that playbook. Like, what does that look like for your life? I know I used to have a sheet back in the day that it was just simply titled "Things You Should Know," and it would have like all my passwords and all like the emails and all the websites. Like, hey, new hire comes on, like, here's things you should know. Here's what you should do in case I go down. Here's how to send out the bills or collect them, whatever it is, right? And because the truth is, like, a lot of people are feeling a nudge right now to be entrepreneur or to step out or to start something or create something. But man, there's so many voices out there. Like there's and a lot of it's right and a lot of it's true, but it may not be right for you. And so you got to find like your tribe, your leader, the one that you connect with most. I know I have a lot of, business guys that I follow, and the stuff they say it's not bad, but it's just like, it doesn't hit with me. Like I wouldn't necessarily take a certain approach. And so that's what we want to be for you. We believe that you shouldn't just kill it in one area, but you should be thriving in all areas, right? Not just simply your faith. Like we don't want you to be a monk and just pray all day, every day and never leave the church parking lot. Like we want you to have time with your family, have time with your friends, have time, in your business, have time in your hobbies and your passions. And that's the life that we're designing by intention for ourselves. And that's what we want to help people do, is to get to the next level of whatever that looks like, because the truth is, like, there's different seasons of life. So sometimes you're the family is great and the business is struggling. And so you gotta learn how to navigate those seasons with people who've done it before, who can hopefully speak some wisdom, and you don't have to, go through all these costly mistakes like we've been through. And that's really the heart of this podcast. That's the heart of the whole ecosystem of Level Up Life. And that's obviously the intention for June 5th, the roundtable. I'm excited for that day.
I am too, dude. I think we're good with the 4.
we got a lot more we can get to, but
and I think next week we're gonna have Mariah on.
Hopefully,
I know you like her a lot.
Yeah, so my favorite guest.
Yeah, I think she's your favorite guest, and she did such a great job last time we had her on. I mean, she is a powerhouse when it comes to delivering just words of wisdom and understanding, and also a message that delivers delivers well, right? Because you could talk about a great concept, but it's how is it packaged? Is it received real well? And to your point about like listening to a lot of people, but it doesn't resonate. Well, that's just the way it is. You got to find somebody that when they say something, it hits for you, right? Yeah. And if that ain't us, hey, there's probably somebody out there. You need to find that person that it just hits for you, because at the end of the day, man, it's up to you to go out there and search all the matters and figure out where do you get fed the best, and then dive all in 100%. There. And as you can see, like we unpack these two, man, they translate into all areas of our life, and that's why the whole mission and concept is like, let's get our leadership up, because leadership is influence. Nothing more, nothing less. It's influence. And so when you get your leadership up, all of a sudden you see all these other areas of your life that matter most, they level up as well.
That's right.
And so June 5th, guys, I promise you, it's going to be something that I just believe you're going to look back and say, I made my big decision in that moment, and it was made in an environment where it was set for that. And it's going to set you up to actually go out there and commit to it and stick with it, these life-changing disciplines and habits and thought processes and perspectives, because you might be one perspective, one thought away from changing your life. And I know that can sound kind of like dramatized, but it's the truth, man. There's a lot of times I was one decision away, and I can give you those decisions that all of a sudden, boom, a great shift happened. And but you got to make the first decision, which is to sign up. And the reality is, the more you wait to do it, the less likely you are to do it. And if it was the thing that was going to change your life, would you want to stack the odds of doing it or reduce the odds of doing it? I think you should do it. So click the link below. We're going to have it in the copy of this video of the podcast. Also, if you go to, I think it's a leveluplife.io/events, I want to say, you'll see the events there that are coming up, the Roundtable and the Praise Run. Guys, be a part of it. We want to be able to sow into you. We want to be able to get together and really help level up together. So it's going to be a beautiful thing.
I love it, man. Also, it's on godshousehg.com. /events if you want to go there.
Yeah, go there
as well. It would just push you to the same site, but if that makes it easier, it's all good.
That site's accurate, mine might not be, so go to that one.
But I'm excited about that day. It's going to be a powerful time that we get to spend just pouring into people. That's our heart. That's why we do all of this. And so we love you. God loves you. God bless you.
Let's go kill it.
Let's go.
Appreciate you guys. See you.